Be sure to tune in to Ocala's longest-running morning radio talk show.
AM Ocala Live from 7 a.m. till noon weekdays.
Right here on WOCA The Source.
Visit the WOCA website at www.woca.com. Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. You know, I'm going to get a little philosophical with you just for a second here, and maybe even borderline religious. I often wonder, like, where do angels come from? And so if you were to believe, and I'm not trying to say I know anything about anything, but let's just say you believe that when you die, you have a chance to be an angel. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I always thought, well, if God said to me, like, what do you want to be now? Now that you're here, what do you want to be? I would say, yeah, I could be one of those angels, you know. Well, and then I think the first question he would ask me would be, well, do you have any experience? And I would say, no, I don't think I do. Our next guest does. I think our next guest has some experience of being an angel, and hope I'm not saying anything out of line. She is on the phone out in California, she told me. Dr. Louise Stanger. She's a lecturer, a professor, a clinician, a trainer, an international interventionist. She was featured in the Huffington Post, the Journal for Alcohol Studies, Recovery View, Sober Way. Her book is called Falling Up. It's a memoir and described as a memoir of renewal. And my goodness, she has had her share of trials and tribulations. The opening lines of the book say, I remember when my father died, I was 7 years old. I mean, what a way to start your life, right? Dad dying. And she lost a husband when she was rather young. And my goodness, she's had her share. So she definitely has had her experience of being an angel. Dr. Louise Stanger, good morning, doctor. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm so excited to be with Ocala since I've actually been there.
Yeah, you said Did you live here, or were you visiting?
No, I was visiting and doing some visiting and some training there, but I did get a chance to visit Ocala while I was there and learn a little bit about your community.
So using my kind of corny intro, I think even if we're not talking about the other side, we're talking about this side while you're still alive. I mean, it sounds like what you're doing, what you've chosen to do with your life, all stems from some of those terrible things you had to go through in order to better help other people.
Yes, I really believe that. My desire is really to assist people in working through their limitations, helping them work through their defining moments, which for me happened to be 5 sudden deaths, and just being able to embrace life's uncertainty. I think that, the title of the book is called Falling Up, a memoir of renewal. And I think that once you live life, actually you're living in the arena, you're active in that, inevitably you're going to fall down. Inevitably, and it's in that falling down that allows you the opportunity to build authentic self-esteem, to help us overcome sort of the tragedies that might befall us, and that everyone has the right to experience life as they want it to be and as they're able to be. And I hope that Falling Up gives people an opportunity to share in that transformation, to give them the power to write their own story, their own narrative.
Yeah. But before you can fall up, you have to fall down. I guess that's my philosophy, and not to be negative while you're trying to make such a positive statement, but I think that, I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be, but none of us can escape it. We have you have people that when you look around and you say, oh my gosh, I wish I had that much money. That guy has no problems at all. Yeah, he does. It's just not money problems. Usually it's something else. So it's almost as if there is no way out of it. It's just part of life. And maybe that's what we're here for.
I think so. I think that we all have a life journey and a life trajectory. And when we look around, of course, like you look, and sometimes we always see the grass is greener on the other side. But when we take closely, everybody has certain trials and tribulations, and within those, mine just happened to be, mine, like other people, happen to be particularly startling. For example, I've worked a lot with having been a young widow and having been a third-generation widow, meaning that my father died when I was 7, but my mother experienced the death of her father when she was pregnant with me, and which meant that my grandmother was also a young widow. No one sets out to have that happen. That gave me the opportunity, as tragic as it was, to work through my own feelings so that later on, as an educator, as a researcher, I was able to work with the widows of 9/11 and learn so much about what it's like to be. So in the book, there's a chapter called How to Be a Widow and Other Fun Tips. And in the thousands of widows that I interviewed, either they loved them, some people didn't love their husbands, and it was a freedom that they got.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay.
Yes. So not everybody was always in love.
That's interesting. That's interesting. What about the people who are the friends of those people? Does the book help them as well? I didn't know anybody directly who died in 9/11, but it impacted not just me. I mean everybody. But because I'm from New York, so I remember thinking, gosh, I wonder if I know anybody. And fortunately, as far as I know, there were no names on that list that I knew directly. Although there was somebody who died later on. There was a firefighter who died later on from inhaling some of the stuff, I guess, that they had to be exposed.
Right. That's right. A lot of people had a lot of lung damage, and for those particular, I've interviewed lots of different kinds of widows, but, I think that death affects all of us in different ways. And sometimes people's reactions of who you think are a friend, they may not be a friend. For example, I interviewed a wonderful woman, and her husband, she was wealthy, she was stunning, absolutely beautiful. But after her husband died, she said that all she was, quote, payer lady. And I said, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Lady? It meant that from now, people used to invite them to go out together, but now the only time she's invited out, they're payers. Or other women may shy away. That does strange things to the people around you. Another woman mentioned that of her friends, some stayed, others left. Others were afraid to have her be out and social for fear their husbands might like them. And so people have their own responses, but things change. And the interesting thing, since we're talking about death, people always say, don't do anything in a year to change things. Well, guess what? The world has skyrocketed. It's changed. And that's an oxymoron because everything's changed.
And it really does impact the community. I mean, this week, everybody's remembering Victim Rights Week. In fact, today at noon at the state attorney's office, they were inviting people that have lost children or parents to come to a ceremony today so they can remember those and keep bad things like 9/11 in the forefront, that we need to keep protecting ourselves, but we should always remember the ones that we lost.
That's right, and everybody, I write about triggers, and I actually am writing a second book, which is just going to deal specifically with women and with men who are widowed and widowed. But what we know about triggers, and obviously my field is also substance abuse and mental health disorders, is when we are thinking about a loved one, having events that celebrate or doing something in your memory that reminds you of them helps to be a container. That means that I don't have to think all day in dread, but if I lift off balloons into the sky, send a bottle with a little message out into the ocean or to the bay, or go to my husband's favorite Chinese restaurant or pick a Chinese restaurant, or do something that they would like, or bike for them, then I've been able to celebrate them in a way, their life. I've been able to take a look at my grief, and it doesn't become overpowering, overwhelming, but it allows me to live with joy again.
When you lose somebody to addiction, it's not the same as losing somebody to death or divorce or that kind of a thing, but they're still different. They're not there. And you've gone through that as well. Explain. Were you yourself addicted to anything?
No.
No.
I'm in recovery from family. I'm what you might call an adult child of an alcoholic, and I can't tell you why. And I have a family history because I do a lot of family mapping. But what I write is that addiction is the masked bandit that steals away control in the night and puts false capes of superpower on as blinders to the truth that swirls around them. And what that really
That's
means
poetry.
Thank you. In other words, nothing changes. I do have a chapter called Nothing Changes Till Something Changes. And 90% of the time, families must change so their loved ones can get the help that's sustaining. I have never met anybody in my life that said, hey, you know what I want to be when I grow up? I want to have a substance abuse disorder.
There you go. Nobody says it. Well, yes, absolutely, yeah.
And nobody sets out that way. And in the work I do what's called family mapping. I take a look at history. What were the gifts that you inherited? We can find very wealthy families, but not the only gift. Some of the gifts they inherited was just not wealth. They also inherited the history of substance abuse disorder, mental health disorder, and you'll notice that I'm purposely not using the words addict, alcoholic. Those are names that people can self-identify, but people are so much more than the sum of their parts. And so in the work I do, I can't tell you why. I do have what one would call an addictive personality. I love to work. I love to shop. And generationally, I certainly have on both sides of the fence, meaning my mother, my father, a history that transcends generations of substance abuse. But I realized that when I was developing a graduate school course that I grew up in a family beset by these things, and my goal in life was to help others navigate through, take responsibility, and that means families as well, not to bail people out, and to let everybody be the person that they're meant to be. That means the mother, the father, the grandparent, the sister, brother, wife, husband, partner, etc.
Yeah.
So how do you what do you say to the person that says I'm this way because it's not my fault?
No, everybody. It's always and nobody really. What you do is you help them take responsibility, and you help people take responsibility on both sides of the fence. For example, families don't call me up because they're happy, right?
Yeah, no. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
They don't. People call someone like me up when their hearts are broken, when they no longer can handle. They've begged, nagged, pleaded. They've bailed out. They've set limits. They've unset limits. They've done things that they don't know what they've done. And the person that's in the midst of the disease is in the midst of the disease. So in the chapter, Nothing Changes Till Something Changes, 97% of my work up front is with families, or since I'm out in California, it can be with business managers, teams, stylists, etc. Because when they are in the midst of it, they're coalesced around the disease, and sometimes they don't see the elephant in the middle of the living room.
And I'm sure that's true a lot of time. Okay, Doctor, we have to take a little break. We'll be right back. Dr. Louise Stanger is our guest. Her book is called Falling Up. Where in California are you?
I happen to be in West Hollywood, though. For 45 years, I lived in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
I was a professor at San Diego State and University of San Diego.
All right, we'll be right back.
FWC.com. Safe boating is no accident. More clouds and sun Thursday with a couple of showers and thunderstorms around during the afternoon and evening hours, the high 81 to 85. And mostly cloudy later Thursday night, low 64 to 68. For Friday, variable cloudiness. There can be a couple of showers and strong thunderstorms around, the high 78 to 82. For Saturday, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high 76 to 80. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks. a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Hi, this is Vanessa Lane Jennings with the Jennings Law Firm, located here in beautiful Ocala. Join me every single Friday at 10:30 for Legal Lane. We'll be discussing various legal topics such as family law, criminal law, contracts, and much more. So this is your chance to call in with your legal questions and have them answered. That's every Friday, 10:30, right here, WOCA The Source.
Hi, Matt Wilkerson here, your mobile Verizon rep. But not just here, I'll deliver the phone to you in your home. While I'm there, I'll only sell you what you need and I'll personalize it to you. Want to have me get you connected? Then call me at 352-528-0020. I even offer unlimited home phone service for just $20 per month. Just call me, your mobile Verizon rep, at 352-528-0020.
Veterans are the foundation upon which our freedom is built. Listen to The Source, WOCA, each Thursday at 9 a.m. to Veterans News with Hank Whittier from Vets Helping Vets. You'll hear tributes, information on veterans issues, and stories that will make you laugh, cry, and feel proud. Veterans News always focuses on the military, past and present, and on our first responders. Veterans News is brought to you each week by Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery, keeping you blooming since 1952.
WOCA,
This is WOCA, News Talk 1370.
This is James Snyder, inviting you to join me each Sunday morning at 9:30 for Sunday Joy on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM.
All right, 9 minutes now before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Dr. Louise Stanger is on the phone. Her book is so insightful into just all of us as human beings. I mean, I realize that falling up is, in a great way, a lesson learned through somebody else's experiences about how to deal with the curveballs that life throws at us. But the truth is, it's like a portrait of life itself. Do you know what I thought of, Doctor, during the break? I want to tell you something. My dad has passed away since what I'm about to tell you, but he lived a long life, but anyway, all of my life, I was my father's son, which kind of sounds weird, doesn't it? But the relationship between a father and son is different with everybody. And for me, one of my favorite memories was, as he got older, I could go over to his house, and while I was still technically his son, but we could talk the way you and I are talking. I could get to know the real him, and he could get to know the real me. You know, I wasn't hiding behind the son, and he wasn't hiding behind the dad. And I have that same thing with my own son now. I have that. I'm still his dad, but I'm not hiding behind the dad. He's not hiding behind the son. It's kind of like, I was watching, the actor Will Ferrell. If you watch him on talk shows, he's always like in some kind of character, always being goofy. So you never really feel like you get to know him. And then there was one interview that Jerry Seinfeld did on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And I thought, hey, he's not goofing. He's being himself. You get to know the real person. And I think that's what you're showing us, is that the real people we are is nothing to be afraid of. We don't have to hide behind the addictions or the widowhood or any of that.
You're absolutely correct. What a beautiful thing you just stated. And what I try and do in following up is allow you the opportunity to own your own story, and that and it does by giving some practical examples how folks like you and I can take care of yourselves physically, emotionally, or spiritually, and consistent with your values. And I really challenge you to do that at least 9 times a week, and to also be grateful. But when you work with people and you allow them to take care of themselves, it opens their heart to new ways of being. For example, one mom I worked with, had 3 sons. And her youngest son, the apple of her eye, really took a path of substance abuse, and it was really, really challenging for her. And every time she thought about it, and this family had a history of addiction and mental health, abuse and trauma from way back generationally. And she would cry so hard, her eyes would crust over in fear when she thought about her son. Her worry and her fear only served to make her ill. It didn't serve to make her any better. And the moment we worked together so she could detach and focus on her own recovery was the moment her son started working on his. And I'm really happy to
Isn't that
report,
interesting? Wow.
and because the moment you let go is the moment, and you become authentic, and you stop trying to control, nag, plead, pray, steal, borrow, is the moment you allow another person to be themselves. And the beauty of this,
I love that,
this
yeah.
is a long process,
Yeah.
is today her son, after 7 treatment centers, being out, is working in the field of recovery and has, I think, over 2 years of sobriety. And she herself is really different. I think the invitation that I give people in Falling Up is probably at the very end, and I have a chapter called Out of the Rabbit Hole. And I talk about how my work has taken me into the inner recesses of my soul so that I'm able to make meaning out of non-meaning. We make meaning. It's where I discover the sense of who I am, and certainly you discovered the sense of who you were when you, conversations with your dad and now with your son. And so my invitation to you is I traverse backwards and forwards in between the spaces of wanting, desiring, hoping, praying, nagging, lecturing, wishing, begging, pleading, and running life's a space indefiable where miracles and magic occur. And I argue that you have found that place. I reach this place
I think
and
you're
give
right.
up my need
Yeah.
to control the uncontrollable. They call that letting go. And I invite you, my friend, and to all the people who choose to read, to have a lifetime to discover yours.
Wonderfully said. You're a poet as well, and in the book you do have some of the book is written in poem form, I guess you would say, right?
Yeah, it's written in a nonlinear way, so you can pick Falling Up, which you can get on Amazon, and you can pick up any chapter. Because actually, the way I've learned to work with people is we talk in conversational tone. And so I do write poetry sometimes, but I really want to invite you into the conversation. And really what I'd love to know is, just like you shared with me a little bit of your story, I'd love to hear from the readers to share theirs.
The book is called Falling Up, a memoir of renewal. Louise Stanger is the author, Dr. Louise Stanger, and I have a copy of the book. By the way, I love whoever decided to put you. It looks like you're superimposed over a sheet of watercolor paper with a light a wash of of a few colors. I just love that.
Thank you. I got to tell you that I decided that I didn't want a publisher. I wanted to do it myself. I've done a lot of academic publishing, and the team and I just put together what we thought was the essence. So
that is nice. And by the way, you have a very friendly look about you. I said that to Robin before we even started talking to you. Let me give this one away, and then the rest of us will get the information so we can buy it. If you want the copy that was sent to me, call me right now, 622-9622. We'll put your name on it and leave it to the side for you. In the meantime, the rest of us have to go buy it. And you said it's online. Do you have a website just specifically?
Yeah, all you have to do, I have so much information, all the blogs I do, all the writing, and I do a bi-monthly blog, so I'm happy to have you join that. You can Google my name, Louise Stanger, Stanger. You can go to my website, which is allaboutinterventions.com. There's a lot of videos on that. And my goal as an educator and as a woman and as a teacher and a trainer is to give you as much information as I possibly can. And
well, you gave us a great interview. Let me real quickly squeeze in a phone call. Good morning. You've got the book. Who's this?
Yes, Marty.
Marty?
Yes.
Do you know where we are, Marty?
I sure do.
Okay. Well, the book will be waiting for you. Is it Marty? T-I. Okay. All right, Marty.
It was a nice interview. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, me too. I enjoyed it too. Thank you, Marty.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like you've hit a nerve with a lot of people, Doctor. Thank you so much for being on the air with us today. That was a real joy.
Well, thank you. It's an honor, and I'll be happy to come back to Ocala anytime to talk with you and Robin.
And I was out in LA for a while, and I miss that too. So we'll have to switch places and just say the grass is always greener, right?
Well, I'm an urban inventor. I've never lived in a big city before. Read my chapter on geographics. So
There you go.
I'm now doing a geographic.
Thank you, Doctor. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Carmen Roberts. The number of Americans filing for first-time unemployment plunges to the lowest level since 1973. Last week's number, 253,000, suggesting a healthy job market. They still cannot drink the water, but Flint, Michigan's water team is telling residents to run the water to get rid of contaminants. This resident says, give me a break.
When we take a shower, and we only take a shower and we're only in there 5 minutes, and the reason being is because we don't want to be exposed to the lead in the water. I understand they're saying run the water, but I don't believe what they're saying.
Flint resident Sean Harrison and Lakers Kobe Bryant goes out in style, ending his 20-year NBA career by scoring 60 points against the Jazz.
It was hard when, last Sunday game we had, and we wore our Sunday whites, taking it off for the last time. The last road game, taking that off. Now it's hard, man.
Bryant speaking to Fox Sports. Fox News, we report, you decide.
The right way to do things. For us at WeatherTech, it's the only way to do things. I'm David McNeil, founder of WeatherTech. A long time ago, our company had a decision to make about where we wanted to manufacture our floor liners. And to tell you the truth, it wasn't a hard decision. We wanted to manufacture the highest quality, most advanced vehicle floor protection in the world. We also wanted to do our part in helping our neighbors, helping the economy, and protecting the planet we all share. That's why we chose to build our new factories right here in America, using American raw materials, American tooling and equipment, and of course, hiring American workers. So now that you know how much effort we put into doing things the right way, just imagine the kind of detail that goes into the craftsmanship of creating our floor liners. Learn more today about our full line of automotive accessories at WeatherTech.com or call 1-800-CarMats. WeatherTech Floor Liners,